Will Tyrese Haliburton be better for the Pacers in game 2? Does he need to change anything? What will it take for more to come from him in the scoring department? Plus, Andrew Nembhard, the playoff riser. How does he do it? Will it keep going? And more Bucks adjustments to keep an eye on with Derek Kramer on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Tuesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today, Derek Kramer is back for our playoff discussions. We'll do one every series, just like last year, maybe two, and we have a lot to get to ahead of game 2. For the Pacers. Tyrese Haliburton, 3 for 13, missed all his threes in game 1. What does he need to change, if anything, to have a better game 2 and give the Pacers a better chance to win? Or is it just as simple as ball going basket? Andrew Nembhard, the playoff riser. It's certainly a thing. It was great last year. He was awesome in game 1. Can it continue? Is this a thing about him, or is there something the rest of the Pacers can learn from this? Plus, what Bucks adjustments might be coming that the Pacers need to be prepared for? We dive into all that today with Derek Kramer from iPacersblog. Let's just get right to it. It is time for game 2 of Pacers Bucks, a pivotal game. Rick Carlisle said it will be monumentally harder. His message at practice on Monday was about how difficult that task will be. Dame might be back. The Pacers need to be better, and it starts with their guards. Joining me to talk Pacers Bucks, a series that is shifting to game 2. A man who did not get a technical foul in game 1. It's Derek Kramer from iPacersblog. Derek, congrats on avoiding the rivalry tech bait.
Oh, I was trying so hard. I'm surprised you didn't hear me from the side. No, but yes, I did not have one of my nice sweaters on and start yelling at one of the Bucks players or anything. Not that they could hear me from.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that anyway, even if they could.
Yeah, I might not be able to be invited back for any more credentialed media. Yes, game 2. Excited. Love playoff basketball. So glad it's here. Let's go.
It's better. It's better. And the Pacers, speaking of better, best player did not play awesome in game 1. I tweeted after he made his 2 free throws, Tyrese Haliburton, to be clear, to get to 10 points at the end of the game. Tyrese Haliburton reaches a double-double on an all-caps very off night. And I got a lot of responses from fans. They're like, it wasn't that bad. His passing was good. Yeah, yes, it was. Like, he did pass well. He made good decisions. He felt out the Bucks defense pretty well. Only 1 turnover. That aspect of what he does was good. And I think it will routinely be good for basically the rest of his career. He took his lumps last year with, the aggressive traps around Christmas and those soft hedging stuff that was troubling for him in March. Like, now defensive coverages don't really shake him. However, I did feel like it was an off night still, in that a team that was trying to not let him get going, he did not get going against the Bucks. 3 for 13 from the field. All of his threes did not go in. And this is the third of his 4 series with the Pacers that his first game was not particularly awesome from a scoring perspective. I think he played fine in the first game, to be clear. I don't think he was bad. It was not as bad as game 1 in the Garden or in Milwaukee last year, to be clear, but I think he would like to be better. Derek, what'd you see from him, and where do you feel like he can be more effective in game 2?
I mean, honestly, I didn't think it was that bad. Like, yes, he missed shots. Like, I really think like that's the difference. Just make shots. Like 0 for 7 from 3. I don't think that's going to happen again the rest of the series. He had multiple shots that kind of like just hit the rim 3 times, almost went down, and then
2
just
threes.
out. Another one that was a mid-range one. Like, I think the most encouraging thing is his shot wasn't there and he stayed aggressive. Like, I think an underrated part of this game was he came back in with like 8.5 minutes left of the second quarter, and immediately, he hadn't scored yet. I think he had 4 assists in the first quarter. Immediately tried to get himself going. The Pacers were up 7 at the time, and he took a step back 3, missed it, came back down the next possession. Pacers got to stop. Got another look for himself right at the free throw line, rimmed it in and out, missed it. Pacers got another stop. And Haliburton, a third possession in a row where he had missed 2 shots, and he still went to the basket again. Like, usually you hear about Ty, like, if I see 2 go in, like, I'm going to keep putting it up until I miss. You don't usually see the opposite, where he misses 2 shots in a row and he continues to attack the basket, look for even closer and closer shots towards the rim. The third possession he gets by AJ Green, gets his first 2 points of the game. And then a couple possessions later hits a mid-range shot. Like, I thought it was really encouraging that even though his shot wasn't falling yet, that he was still being aggressive, because that makes those passes that he wants to make, that's his favorite part of basketball. Like, it makes it that much easier for him. Like, once he's scoring and is still a threat, even if they're not all going in, it makes it that much easier for him to make those passes and get everybody else going. Go ahead.
I believe all of his makes were getting around AJ Green. His first basket getting to the paint was around AJ Green. His pull-up later in the second quarter, AJ Green screened by Myles. He holds him on his hip and then hits the free throw line jumper. I can't remember if the third one, yes, of course, Bobby Portis, and then he turned around and yelled at him, duh. Yeah. 2 of the 3 were getting by AJ Green, which makes me wonder how, we'll talk about Bucks adjustments later, because to me, he was their best bench player, and if I wondered, maybe they'll just start him instead of Prince or Kuzma or whoever. But like, if they're going to put a weak defender out there for Haliburton to try to hunt into screens, now that Nesmith is more formidable in those ways, and Drew was awesome getting by guys too, I don't know if they can do that if that's the way that Ty gets going from a scoring perspective, because they did try to take away a lot of the stuff that he was able to get to in those minutes. So that's one thing the Bucks have to kind of figure out is, yes, it seems like a lot of their game plan is don't let Haliburton cook or get into the paint where he's so good, but then you can't put certain guys on him, and then the snowball effect continues. And like, how often does he take I actually think Tyrese Haliburton's worst threes are his heat check threes, which he's earned the right to take, but like, he very rarely takes it through. I'm like, he shouldn't shoot that. Like, he's a good enough shooter that especially with very difficult threes, it's mostly like, that's fine. And he missed all 7 of them, and that's bad. You deserve some ridicule when you miss all 7 threes. Like, I'm not saying it's fine that he missed 7 threes, but I don't think he took very many, if any, shots in game 1 where I was like, what on earth is Tyrese Haliburton thinking taking that one? You know, and like, you shouldn't think that was star push anyway. And he took 6 free throws, which for him is like actually a pretty significant number. So I'm like with you that I don't think it was some like crazy game, but you go 3 for 13. I'm going to type very off night in all caps, staying it. I also think that's a fair assessment of what he did.
It's fair. It is a fair assessment. Like, obviously, like, you don't see Tyrese Haliburton night where he has more field goal attempts than points, like, very often, especially
very
like
rare.
When he's taking like 13 shots. Like, that's going to be a very rare occasion where he's not above that amount of points at minimum. So yeah, I didn't think his night was that bad, but it's kind of easy to look the other way at his point total when they still won by almost 20, which is obviously encouraging for the Pacers, that even though your star offensive engine didn't shoot the ball well, didn't score very much, and you still won by that much, it's encouraging, but it also, like, you want to see more from him as well.
So I asked him after the game, how'd you feel about your looks today? He said, I feel great. I said, would you like to get the same ones again the next game? He said, I will. Then he looked at me in a pause and he said, I know I will. So if you liked Tyrese Haliburton shots in the first game, feel good about the ones coming in the second game, which is my leaping point to say that if you're on the train of last year's playoffs, where like game 1 was kind of a feel out game for him, where he like finds his spots and figures it out and all that, you know, that's still not a good thing. But like, I get that from watching him for forever and ever, with his first quarters being quieter than the rest of his game. Okay. Well, like, I think he and everyone watching figured out that the Bucks would like not switch as much with Giannis, and like kept him back and drop, and everybody else was switching more often for some reason, which put worse defenders on him. And sometimes it felt like that was them mixing up their coverages, and sometimes it felt like that was them trying to use Giannis in specific ways. And if I can figure that out, Tyrese Haliburton obviously figured it out. So I think he will be fine, assuming the Bucks don't make any massive changes, which is totally possible. They were really bad in a lot of ways in game 1. They didn't like their defense. They didn't like their decisiveness. You were there for Giannis complaining about the decisiveness. Complaining is the wrong word, but he wasn't happy with it. You know, they're going to be better. They're going to be different. But if Haliburton can figure out quicker how similar or different the coverages are, and get the shots that he knows he can get again, I think everybody should feel more confident that he'll at least get the shots up and be aggressive, like you mentioned. But he's got to make them. You know, that's the 13 shots is a lot. You're going to have the ball a lot. He played well. But I think making them in game 2 will be a story to keep an eye on.
And I think the Bucks will, like, I think they might try to do what, you know, some people say they try to do with Jokic, where they try to make him more of a scorer. Like, I think Doc knows that, like, that's maybe not Tyrese's preferred way he can do it, but He liked getting everybody involved. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they like try to like prove that he's going to make shots, which is a dangerous game to play if you're on the Bucks. But I think that's where they're going to try to go.
What were they when he had 20 plus this year? 25 and 3, right?
Right. Yeah. So you make him.
Everybody threw that in my face a bunch in the lead up to the series, and like Tyrese has got to get going. Yeah, he does, but like he doesn't have to. They have other good players, but like, yeah, that's totally true. And what did Giannis just have? 38, 36, whatever, and no one else really got rolling. Like the Pacers weren't letting him score, but there's something to that. If like the Bucks want to let him get going at the expense of his playmaking, just tearing them up, but at some point he's an efficient enough scorer that if that starts happening, you're like, oh crap, this is not going to work. We're gonna have
going, yeah.
Right. And Giannis had that game. The Pacers were still like, dang, we got to do better against him. We got to do better against everybody else. Like, we didn't actually like how we defended that much, right? I found that all to be very revealing. Like, I thought they, given what I expected from Giannis in the series, I thought they did pretty good on him, honestly. And they didn't feel the same way. And maybe that's how the Bucks will feel after game 2. And guess what? Haliburton was better in game 2 and then better in game 3 again when he hit the signature shot of his career. So I expect ascent, because I've covered him his entire time with the Pacers and I watched the shots he got in game 1. But there's lots of evidence that even if I didn't expect descent, to say it'd be coming anyway. Everybody, short little break here to talk about FanDuel, the NBA playoffs. They're here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you joined FanDuel, if you place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes betting so easy. Most love that. Whether it's picking their favorite team or diving into player props or putting together their favorite parlay, FanDuel is the way to do it. From 3-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after games tip off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. You know who ascends every game they play in the playoffs, Derek? A guy you already wrote about.
I did.
One Andrew Nembhard. I'm going to give you guys some inside baseball about covering the Pacers today. Rick Carlisle did media first, and I wanted to ask about people calling Nembhard a playoff riser. So I said, some people call Nembhard a playoff riser. You know what? And I asked, and then I went blah, 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 blah. And he answered. And then Tyrese Haliburton was next, and Dustin Dopirak asked him about Andrew Nembhard. And in his answer to the question, Tyrese Haliburton said, yeah, he's a playoff riser. And you can't see me, and I didn't actually do it, but I did a mental fist pump right there, because now I don't have to say to people, some people say he's a playoff riser. I can say, Tyrese Haliburton said he's a playoff riser. So now you all listening get to hear me say it. Tyrese Haliburton called Andrew Nembhard a playoff riser today at practice, and I think we've all seen that for 2 years. He had those amazing 2 games to close out against Boston, obviously, but was pretty good for offensively much of the playoffs. Last year, terrific in game 1, just like right at big men, no fear. 10 2-point attempts for Andrew Nembhard in one game. I'd have to look it up, but that's got to be near his top number of the season. Well, 1 turnover, 5 assists. Like, he was awesome, and he set the tone in the first half of the game, and his defense is routinely great, and it's easier to guard Ryan Rollins and Damian Lillard, but, like, man, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's, to me, what I always say in, like, clutch moments or games like this is, like, if you maintain your level from what you normally are, that already is like better than most people. Most people shrink or are a little bit worse when the scouting reports are more detailed or the games are more intense or every moment is more scrutinized or whatever. And so if even just maintaining makes you better in terms of like comparatively to everybody else, there are like a few people, Jimmy Butler being the face of it to me, that actually get better in that type of stage. And I think Andrew Nembhard's already good. This is his 4th series. It's possible that we're just seeing like a crazy heater of small sample sizes. He's played 1 playoff game this year. However, do you feel like there's something to this?
So as much as I've heard like playoff riser is a myth, like I have to believe that it's a real thing. Like I watched Reggie Miller for most of my life. Like all of his numbers went up. Like he's incredible in the playoffs. So many of his greatest moments are in the postseason. That's the reason he's a Hall of Famer. Like the playoffs are why he's a playoff riser. Andrew Nembhard, so far in his career, is very clearly a playoff riser. Like his numbers were ridiculous last season. Like the Celtics series alone, the giant shot to win the Knicks series, and he was clearly pumped to play in this game 1 against the Bucks. Like those 4 drives that he had, especially the 2 where he just like shoulder bumps Lopez, decels into the paint. Like Lopez is so frustrated. This giant human that's like 280 pounds is throwing his hands up in frustration. Like it's incredible what he's able to do in those moments. And I thought even when the game didn't start off super great for him, when he airballed that 3, I felt like that was a sign that he had a lot of adrenaline, because like a lot of times you see that with a first shot that somebody takes, if it's way long, like they're a little too juiced up for the moment. So and I think he talked about it as well today, or maybe yesterday, where like he loves the moment. I think it was on the FanDuel post game broadcast, which they didn't post anywhere, so I didn't get to see the whole interview. But he had a quote like he's always felt like he's been ready for big games, even in like the little league when his dad was the coach and he couldn't sleep the night before games. Like he loves the competition, was what Ty said. Like you said, if Haliburton's calling him a playoff riser, then who are we to disagree?
You said adrenaline for the first 3, and while that may be true, I think we know the real reason Andrew Nembhard missed that shot.
His foot wasn't long.
Andrew Nembhard from 30 feet and out, money. I trust that 3 has a chance to go in. Andrew Nembhard with his toes 3 centimeters over the arc. Yes, that's a jumper that can go in. Anything between 23.8 feet and 30 feet, nah, not his thing right now. Which is like, it's so weird to go through this because he shot poorly in the regular season, right? His worst 3-point shooting season of his career, right? And it looks like he's doing some drills to like focus on his shot, like mechanics right now. And then in games, he's just like absolutely canning these long 2s. Like nothing makes it not a 3 besides like the smallest margin, which to him has to be just infuriating.
It was so funny
but
that
he hit it.
You praised him for the taking 10 2s, but really it was 8.
2 of them were 3s.
2 of them were supposed to be 3-pointers.
That's a great point. Even 8 2s is a lot for him. Okay, did he even take 8 shots per game?
Probably not. No, I don't think
8.3. 8.3 is the answer.
Right.
Yeah. I believe that you're right that playoff risers are a thing. Something about what I asked Rick that I'd be curious about, because I think I know the answer when I ask something like this, but I'm just curious what he thinks. Is it something innate like about him that it's just like big game, great, Nembhard is going to be more ready or just better than his typical level, or is it something in his prep specifically that like looks different and is different that allows him to do this? Maybe it's both, but like if the answer was that he preps differently to make him play better, everyone else would prep how he did. What
are you doing in the regular season? What, you don't?
Yeah, right. Do it every game. So I'm sure there's like some small things that are a little different in your day to day during the playoffs, but I think it's something relatively innate. And 15 points a game last year. Is he going to shoot 48% from 3 in the playoffs again this year? No, probably not. But he was awesome. He like literally cooked teams. His passing was good. His defense was not as good as it was this season, but like it's possible that even if he is worse from a shooting percentage perspective this playoffs, his defense is better because it was better during the season. And then we all don't care about that. And we call him a playoff riser because he makes life hard for Dame or does whatever he does. And yeah, those decel shots, the word decel is going to get so overused so fast. It's what's happening. It just feels wrong. He got good at those this season, right? Like that was very clear early in the year. That's something he worked on in the summer. And he just like bumps Brook Lopez out of the way. Brook Lopez can't slow down enough. Boom. He's got an open space. Like that's a new shot for him. And maybe it is just some innate thing that makes him more reliable on the stage. And the Pacers aren't going to complain about that. Great. They have a better shooting guard in the playoffs in the regular season, but he's certainly something monstrous. And I trust that he will be very often, just seeing how his mood is a little different in the way he interacts and plays.
Like he just seems like more aggressive with the chances he gets with the ball, even at times. Just he didn't hesitate at all. Anytime he had a chance in transition, like it was straight to the rim with force.
Yep.
Like you even saw him, like it was his third dunk of his career, like real actual dunk. I can't.
Yeah, they went crazy again.
Yeah, like he got up for that one too, like a little extra juice, getting a little extra couple inches. And I think we'll see more of the defense. Like his task in the last game, like a lot of his minutes he was guarding like Ryan Rollins, which is why we kind of saw his off-ball defense pop a little more than we normally do, because he didn't need to be the point of attack guy. So obviously whenever Dame does come back, like well, here's your chance to rise on the defensive end.
Only guy with multiple steals on the team. Now, were they pretty close, like together? I can't remember.
Yeah, he almost had a third that went out of bounds too.
That's right. That's the one that was close. They were both in the third quarter. Yeah, that were close by in proximity. Only one turnover. Like that's how some of his games get out of control. It's like he's just different and better. And until he stops doing it, I feel like everybody will keep trusting it. And that's so obvious to say, like, I think this guy's good until he's not. But it's different when it's somebody who is being labeled as a guy who is better in this setting than the typical game, and that's huge for the Pacers, who are playing the Bucks, a team that Andrew Nembhard just so happens to be like the perfect fit for. Like, can attack to crack defense that wasn't playing very connected, and can, in theory, guard a superstar point guard and Damian Lillard. And look, he can also give you 8 made shots and make some threes every now and again. Yeah, he's pretty important. All right, I talked about my own adjustments yesterday, Derek. Unless you're incredibly impassioned about something you think the Pacers should do differently, I say we look at what the Bucks might do differently and how the Pacers might respond to those things. Yes?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, Dame or no Dame, they cannot start the same group, right? There's just no way.
So this is my only theory about why Doc is starting this awful, like it doesn't make any sense. The bench is clearly the better group. So my only theory is that they're trying to maximize that bench group by getting them to play against another bench group as much as possible. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, every one of those players is better than the player that's not starting, except maybe Lopez Portis is like the only one that I would like argue could maybe keep starting. And even Brook has struggled so much defensively that you could make the argument that maybe Portis should be starting over Brook. So the thing that I think makes that case is the matchups for the Pacers with the bench group against the Bucks bench group are a lot tougher. But if you start those guys, I'm way more comfortable with the Pacers matching up with that group than with the bench guys matching up with them.
So my theory would be that Dame, Giannis, Brook, Kuzma, Prince makes more sense than Rollins, right? Like, it feels like they just said, oh, okay, we'll start Ryan Rollins and keep it all the same. And like, that's not actually what happened in the flow of their season, right? Like, they just landed on this group. But even if Dame plays, like, put the shooters on the floor. Taurean Prince is theoretically a shooter. He took one. Like, someone I knew who covers the Bucks, Brian Sampson, was doing his hypothetical rotation of low returns. He just took Prince out completely. Like, I don't think he's been that bad, but he's got to look at the rim more. He's got to be more effective than that. Trent has killed the Pacers all year. He was making mid-range jumpers in game 1. Like, that's not a thing he's known for, but his accuracy is there. AJ Green obviously was an only good shooter. Portis can space more than Lopez now somehow. Like, I think they're both good enough shooters for their position they play. Like, why are they doing this? It doesn't make sense to me. The problem I'd have as the Pacers is if I had to guess what the Bucks were going to do to change the starting 5, I'd have no idea. Right? Like, it seems so obvious to be like, oh, Kuzma just sucked. Let's take him out for Trent or Green. But like that, what is Kuzma going to do with that bench group, right? Like, that group works because it's so spacing heavy, and Giannis can cook and KPJ can run against the crack defense. Kuzma doesn't help that group. Now, if you take away Prince and put him at the bench, then you're taking away some shooting in theory and a good defender. I would think what they would try to do is put whoever into the starting 5 they feel like is the hardest place to hide Tyrese Haliburton. And that's why I think it's possible they actually do bench Prince for either Trent or Green, just to make Haliburton run more. Because Haliburton starts the game on Prince. Prince takes one shot. The Pacers are like, heck yeah, that's a huge win for us, right? So that's what I would guess they would do. But if Dame returns, it's possible to me they stick with the same group minus Rollins plus Lillard and then say, all right, let's see if this works before changing anything else. Because they closed with the bench. They clearly know, right, that it's better. That's just it's so odd.
Yeah, they all played more minutes than the other starters. Like, it's very clear Doc knows, like, that's their best group that they have. But then you also hear Doc say things like, well, Kuzma's got to be involved more for him to be better. Like, that's why he got 0 stats.
Do you think any Pacers player, coach, exec heard that quote and like, yes, like fist bump to themselves? Like,
all right, is he just like playing coy? Like, is it like, yeah, I'm going to keep starting Kyle Kuzma?
To be clear, he will not be that bad again in the series. But like,
He won't. It's impossible to
yeah.
be worse. I mean, I guess he could take a couple more shots and also miss those and still do nothing else. But he's not going to be that bad. There's no way. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense like that. Like the only thing I can think of is just trying. The bench isn't like, I don't. He just doesn't think they're like good enough to beat starting lineups. So he's just trying to maximize as much time against lesser opponents as he can. Is the only thing I can think of. Even if Dame comes back, though, I think they have to get one of Prince or Kuzma out of that lineup for the same reasons you said. Like, you just get more shooting. They're more of a threat offensively. It makes Tyrese do more. Like, there's so many positives for the Bucks to do that. It doesn't. I don't know why they wouldn't.
I specifically, if I were the Bucks, would make it be Gary Trent. I think AJ Green's a better shooter, but Trent can guard, right? And like, I would assume it'll be Lillard on Nesmith when Lillard plays. That's what it was last year a lot of the time. And then one of Trent or Prince or whoever on Haliburton. Like, that's not good, but it's fine. If it's Green and Lillard, somebody, whether it's the playoff riser or a very good player, is going to have a favorable matchup. But that is just my general guesses for what they'll do. I don't think the Pacers would make any huge rotational shifts, like I said yesterday. But if the Bucks do, that could cause them to, right? Clearly, some of their front court sub patterns were based on who the Bucks had on the floor and like what they expected them to do with his own defense, and specifically knowing they needed Siakam at the 5. So adjustments will lead to Pacers adjustments. I think it's possible the Bucks go zone even more in game 2. I mean, I think they'd be thrilled if you said, yeah, TJ McConnell took 5 mid-range shots against your zone defense. He made them, but that is, a solution the Pacers got to a lot. They got those possessions to deepen the shot clock. So that's not an adjustment in terms of like, this is something new. It's just more often. And I think the Pacers know that they need to be more crisp against that.
Yeah, I think we'll see if the Pacers get any more possessions with Brook Lopez and drop, like, I would be shocked. Like, I think they'd be better off just trying to survive with him switching at this point, with how much like Ty and Myles just destroy drop coverage. It's just not an option against those two. But yeah, I think they're going to try to switch way more. Try to make Tyrese just beat whoever it is off the dribble, which, like, if they are going to switch a lot and Dame returns, like, then you can try to hunt him. If they put AJ Green into the lineup, like, I think Green's a better defender than he probably gets credit for, but the Pacers were able, like you said, Tyrese scored on him multiple times, Pascal scored on him multiple times. Like, they were still able to like score against him.
Yep.
Like, I don't think he's not like a Doug McDermott type of movement shooter
Oh
where
God,
you can destroy him on defense or anything. No. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more switching and a lot more zone as often as they can, just because like Pacers are so good at what they do. Even if they know what to do against the zone, it's just not as comfortable for them as just doing their normal stuff. So, and they know they've had success with the zone, like when they made the giant comeback in December against them as well. So they have some confidence that it can work.
Anything big else you see from them besides, of course, giving Kyle Kuzma the ball more often?
Yes, get Kyle Kuzma with more touches. I thought it was interesting listening to Doc's presser. Like, he was frustrated by the lack of ball movement. Like, he thought they were late to a lot of passes. I'd be surprised if Giannis only has decisive. One. Yeah, I think he'll be. Yeah, and he was talking about not being as decisive as a team. Like, I don't think he'll have only one assist, and I think he'll be a little quicker to get rid of the ball and get the ball moving. I think that's part of why Nembhard was able to get some of those steals or deflect passes, because the passes took too long. So I think they might seem a little crisper on offense is what I'm sure they're going for. Yeah, and then obviously Lillard changes a lot of things on both ends, but we'll see when he actually returns.
Yeah, Pacers, I think, would be fine with Giannis passing some more, as long as it's not just because shooters are making a billion shots. And look, I think the same way about Dame that I feel about Giannis, like that he's super good and people are really understating what he could potentially do to the series. Like, at halftime of game 1 last year, wasn't it like Dame 33, Pacers 40 or something like that? Like, it was crazy. He's really good. However, I will say I don't think of him as a good defender, and I have no idea what he could offer coming off of a I don't know how much it impacts his actual cap itself, but I have no idea what he would look like coming off of a multi-week absence in his 30s for an important game, right? Like, I'm not saying that he's going to be bad. Do you remember, was he great in game 6? I don't even remember last year. Like, he was coming back from injury for that game, and the Pacers ran the Bucks off the floor. Like, the fact that I don't remember suggests to me it wasn't, like, particularly awesome. So, yes, they should be afraid of Dame. I'm not using all these little asterisk caveats to be like, oh, who cares? Like, it's a huge deal. But I don't know if that's, like, so huge priority number one of the adjustments for the Pacers. Anything else that we've missed here?
Like, I think the biggest thing, like, whenever Lillard does return, like, you got to make him prove it. Like,
yes,
everything, like, all the pressing and stuff has to be dialed up to 1,000. Like, you got to wear him out. I think the one other thing, I think they're going to try to get Aaron Nesmith to do more, like the Bucks will, like, try to force it into his hands. Like, he's the one guy who in the starting lineup that didn't do a ton, but I think the Pacers are comfortable with that. Like, I think that, like, and they know their offense, like, some nights it's going to be this guy's job to, like, get it going, and some nights you're not going to get it as much. And, like, I think we might see Aaron Nesmith, like, I think he's going to get more than 7 looks in the starting lineup, as long as he's not, like, in foul trouble or something. But, like, I think it could be an Aaron Nesmith having some opportunities to do things game.
He was 7th on the team in shot attempts plus free throws, right? That's not a problem. Like, he's not like some offensive beast, but he was clearly better than this to close the season, right? And I had questions like, hey, how good is this going to look in the postseason? I didn't think Aaron Nesmith played bad in game 1, but you didn't see some of the same shots. In fact, wasn't his only 2-point maker, his first 2-point make a floater? And I was like, oh, Aaron Nesmith only hit floaters in Madison Square Garden game 7 last year in the playoffs. Like, every other shot he missed, it felt like, for the whole postseason. So I think it'll be interesting to see how much more involved he is, especially if he's guarded by Dame. Like, he's going to do a lot of the Buddy Hield screening stuff and, like, be allowed to dribble towards the rim in a way that could make him more productive. I think we've thoroughly previewed game 2. Adjustments yesterday and this today. I'm not going to guess if Dame plays. If you ask, I will tell you when Doc Rivers tells us at 5, whatever, tonight. Do the Pacers win, Derek?
Do the Pacers win? I hate making predictions.
Game predictions.
I think they win the series regardless. I think game 2 tells us how long the series is going to be.
They won a series. They were down 0-2 last year. They were only up by 2 games at 1 point last year. It was when they were up 3-1 against the Bucks, and then they lost the next game before winning the series. We can't learn a lot about this, but I think they will be the favorites in game 2, but I think there are lots of factors that suggests Bucks adjustments could be a major thing for them to overcome. Derek, if people want to read about Andrew Nembhard, playoff riser, and other things you have to say about the Indiana Pacers, where can they go?
Yes, game 1 coverage so far I've written about Nembhard being playoff Drew. We'll see. And then Pascal, Siakam, and Tyrese Haliburton wrote a little bit about their game 1 today. Trying to get.
I did not even see you did that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give something a little every day. I've probably already written more things this month than I did in the last few. So getting going. I'm a playoff riser as well, Tony. I'm a playoff riser.
Good.
As well. You can find some if you're looking for some Pacers inspired merch. You can look on the website. You can see some of the new things that I've done as well. Great way to support the site as well. Also,
my bubble TJ Warren shirt exists somewhere in my house. I have Caitlin Cooper shirts. I have iPacersblog shirts. I'm a supporter of the Sphere. I think it'll be a much closer game than game 1, which makes it harder to predict. But I think the Pacers, they just have to feel so good about their shot quality, and I think that leads to making it predicting wins until the Bucks show they can knock them off their game or change things in a meaningful way. I am on Twitter at Tony R. East. Derek is there at iPacersblog. I think we have the same handles on Blue Sky. You're just iPacers on Blue Sky, I believe.
Correct.
And this podcast is at Locked On Pacers for more on the Pacers. For me, back tomorrow night, talking Pacers Bucks game 2 from the Fieldhouse. Thank you all so much for listening. See you very soon.